Whoa!
Big thanks to Bernhard for sponsoring this video.
This is how you barbecue giant pork ribs at home. With regards to pork ribs, one of the most asked questions is, where do you get your pork ribs? And how come your pork ribs have so much meat on them? Well, let me tell you how I do it. I make sure that I find a beautiful piece of meat like this, and then I trim it up myself. This is a locally grown pork. Actually, this comes from my neighbor. Then probably a local farmer is gonna look for a lot of good meat to fat ratio. That's what you should ask for with your butcher. Now, of course, you want the most out of your ribs, and I'm gonna show you with this beautiful piece how you can do it, because there's a lot of meat on these ribs, on these belly ribs. There's also a lot of fat, which I'm gonna need to take off. But if you want to have perfect ribs at home with a lot of meat, you gotta do this yourself. Now, the first job we're gonna do is take off the big fat cap and the skin that sits on top of the meat. And for that, you're gonna need a good knife. For instance, a deboning knife like this. And the shape of the deboning knife is very slender. That makes it a little bit flexible. So when you're moving along with the meat, you can slice into it easy. It's basically a basic tool for any butcher to work with. This one is special because it's hand forged and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Just like butchers, you want to have a knife that is soft steel. And you might think, whoa, what about all those Japanese knives? They're really hard and they stay sharp for a long period of time. That's so true, but butchers like to be able to sharpen their meat while they're working, so they can have a sharp knife at any moment and don't need to do all kinds of crazy tricks to get it sharp again. First, I'm gonna clean up the meat side. There's this little flap sitting right here that can be removed. And you can still use this, for instance, for making sausages. Once the rib side looks good, we're going to move on to the skin and the fat. I'm going to take my deboning knife and I'm going to make a cut where I want to go with the knife, focusing on removing the fat cap and the skin. I want to make my strokes as long as possible so I get clean cuts. Of course, I don't want too much fat sitting on top of my ribs, so I'm going to take a big meat slicing knife to make long, nice cuts and remove it all. And once it's trimmed up, it looks like this. Absolutely beautiful. Pork ribs XXL, the biggest pork ribs you can have. And a lot of meat means I need to add a lot of flavor. Of course, I'll be using the PitmasterX classic barbecue rub, of which you can find a recipe on PitmasterX.com. A large cut like this requires a lot of rub, so I'm going to be using double the amount. And if you're on our website, you can easily fill in how many people you're dining with and how much rub you need. To make sure all that rub sticks to the meat, I'm going to use a binder. And one of my favorites is mustard, because it just lets the flavors on the pork pop. Now that it's all seasoned up, it's time to fire up our Burnhard smoker. The beautiful thing about the Burnhard flint is that it has a huge surface to cook on. Now all I need to do is put in some pellets. I'll be using hickory, but you can add any flavor you like. Then just switch it on and set it to smoke at a temperature of 120 degrees Celsius. Place the ribs on, set them in the center, close the lid and let the ribs smoke. I don't want you to miss out on what could be the best part of this whole cook, because this is trimming and it's a lot of fat, but it's not waste. Just cut it up into little cubes, let it render down in a pan on a low fire, and then put it in trays like this, little aluminum trays, vacuum it, put it in your freezer, and you're gonna end up with the most beautiful thing. And every time you get that cast iron out, just throw it in, fry up something, cook a beautiful steak. That's what this stuff is for. These ribs are absolutely done. The thinner part is already cooked, while a little bit overcooked, because I want to get that thicker part cooked as well. This thing is so ready, and if you don't believe me, just check out this pan of grease. That's all of the rendered out fat that came out of these ribs. But I got mine. You the devil in the sky. Hoppa! Sauce o'clock. That's right. I'm gonna make a sauce that's gonna make these ribs even better. As I told you, I'm gonna need flavor to boost these ribs because we got so much meat that we need to really pop things open and up. That's why I got this beautiful Dutch mayonnaise. See, I always want mayonnaise. I'm sorry, I didn't want to say mayonnaise. It's mustard, of course. Beautiful Dutch mustard, nice and creamy. So 1 part mustard, and to that I'm gonna add 1 part of apple cider vinegar. Of course, the apple cider vinegar is gonna be super sour, so we're also gonna need some sweetness. That's why I'm gonna use honey. And I don't wanna be wasteful, but nothing of this honey is coming out of that jar, so I'm gonna fix it right now. And of course, it's not sweet enough yet. No, it ain't. Know what you're thinking, don't do it. Yes, he is gonna do it anyway. More sugar. So that's about 1/4 part of honey and 1/4 part of sugar. Of course, I'm gonna need some Worcester sauce to make this into a barbecue sauce. 1/8 part is gonna do the job. And then you can finish off strong with some Tabasco or whatever your favorite hot sauce is. And then you can add as much or as little as you want. Now I'm gonna bring this up to a boil. And once I got a nice soft simmering bubble going on, then I know my sauce is ready. Yes! Ribs. I bet you if I pull here, something's gonna pop out. Poop. That's absolutely done. Just look at that bottom. It's so good. It just pulls apart. This whole rack of ribs is so juicy and tender. It's insane. Juicy, tender, giant ribs. Made by yourself at home. You can do this. All you need to do is ask your butcher for a whole side of pork. That's it. He will get it for you. I guarantee it. Now let's see if we can cut into these ribs and take a look inside of this beautiful slab. Oh, look at how good that looks. I think it just died and went to rib heaven. Look at it, waterfall streaming down the ribs. So juicy, little smoke ring, very good looking, crispiness on the bottom, juiciness on top. We got all the good stuff right here in these ribs, and these are by definition the thickest ribs you can get. Meaty, fatty, juicy, tender, gorgeous ribs. And now it's time for some of that sweet and sour mustard sauce. Whoa! Oh. Time for my favorite part, the taste test. A slice of the end. Look at how that is drippy. Get your umbrellas out, guys. I'm just gonna go for it. Now, I know this is messy and it's a little bit troublesome to watch maybe. I don't mind.
That's unbelievably juicy.
That is some good barbecue.
Absolutely incredible.
That is straight up delicious. But I love ribs and I especially love these. Whoa.
I love the fact that it's a mustard honey sauce. You need that bit of acidity for these ribs.
Easy peasy, juicy, tender, thickest ribs, giant ribs.
They're giants, they're fatty, and they're salty. And this is the perfect combination. I also love the fact that Roel looks like a Swedish flag with the sauce and his shirt. You look like a flag. Not the nicest thing to say, I'm sorry. But the ribs are amazing.
I don't care what you say. With these ribs, I'm not hearing anything. This is lip smacking good.
Incredible.
Ribs, you gotta make it home, for sure. Easy to do, easy to get. Call your butcher, order it, get it ready for next weekend, and you're good to go.
I don't want to be the mom, but is this expensive?
No.
No?
This is the cheapest part of the pig.
No.
It is.
No.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, then let us know. Leave a big thumbs up and a cup. Jeez. You know the drill. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Give us a big thumbs up and comment down below. See you guys next time. Until then,
Eetsmakelijk.
and keep on eating these delicious ribs. I got like a bone here just looking at me, wanting to pop out. I love that these are a little overcooked. Is that weird?
No. I love the rub and I love the crunch on the
PitmasterX classic wrap. It's as easy as that.